2024. There are Title VI forms on the back table. Anyone care to fill one of those out? Turn it into auditor's office. We'd all stand. I'd like to ask Todd House to lead us in the pledge, followed by prayer and on bond.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don?
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you will please join me in prayer. Father God, we praise you and are grateful for this crisp Monday morning. You woke us today to continue to do your work in the world. May these men and women do the work set out for them this day. Guide them as they make decisions. Today, our world enters into March Madness, chaos while volcanoes erupt and wars across the world continue to escalate. We lift our world, our country, our county, and our families to you this day. Use us to change the world for good. May each of us have patience with our fellow man and extend kindness to one another. We pray this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Thank you. You guys had a chance to look at the minutes. Any questions or corrections?
Yeah, there's a section under the Parks and Recreation section that talks about the lease between Cola Park, between the softball league and the Parks Department, or the lease between the Parks Department and the Commissioners.
Which minutes?
The 4th.
March 4th.
Actually, wasn't that a lease between?
The Park Board and the Parks and
I
Rec.
think it was written, wasn't it, Mark, for the Washington Township with the Fair Board? Isn't that how, I didn't bring it with me.
I don't have it on me.
Depends on which year you're talking about. I think the second year Parks and Rec was directly mentioned.
Well, it mentions that we were gonna
Washington
be
Township was.
doing it, but I couldn't find a second lease, but anyway. It wasn't Cola, it wasn't the softball association, I know that.
Yeah, it was between the Fair Board and Township, technically, but I think what was said was between the Fair and, or the Parks Department and Commissioners.
I think that's what was said.
Anything else?
I did not see anything else in either of the minutes.
I would move to close March 4th and March 5th meeting minutes.
A second.
Claims, questions?
I have no questions.
Well, I think we both were looking at kind of the same thing there, Mark.
I got, Janet, maybe you can explain why we're paying the St. Paul clerk clear back to 2018.
County tickets for the person that gets them, pays their tickets, there's $4 that's put in a different fund that can go to the arresting officer or the district. So St. Paul found, they have a new clerk treasurer, they found where they had not been claimed. They have to submit a claim, they get a report from the clerk's office. So they asked if they could do that, and I said, yes, the money's sitting in there. It's a law enforcement training fund. It's 1133, so it comes out of. Tickets are paid, the clerk receives that in.
So all the way back to 2018, those claims have not been submitted for money to go to St. Paul for their training for Josh.
Yes, correct. We verified that, and then we have to go back and check. Make sure that wasn't double paid.
Well, I'm glad I got it.
We just can't tell them that they need to do that. That's up to them.
Well, there's another issue. We did a railroad crossing in St. Paul about 4 years ago, probably.
The one right there on
The mill,
yeah.
and St. Paul had paid us, but the railroad had never reimbursed them because they never turned the bill to the railroad. Several times. She called and got all the new clerk called and got all the paperwork and submitted it. Good luck trying to get it out of railroad now.
Right, the former clerk is died a lot, he's helping her. So I think her experience and how to get hold of us and find out. Something.
Good.
And there's a payroll claim on the first page. Haley Ash, why was it on claims and not in payroll?
That's the animal control shelter vet, and so she's paid as a vendor instead of.
Oh, okay, okay. That's all I had. You guys got anything on claims?
Mine would be St. Paul ones.
Okay.
I'd move to approve claims.
Second.
For payroll, March 15th, $355,260.44.
I'd move to approve payroll.
Second.
Todd Howe.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Highway Department, since we last met, still grading stone roads, still doing some ditching out there in some areas, doing some patching. We'll be going up there by St. Paul truck stop today. Mowing out the county. We're doing the inventory of everything at the Highway Department. That needs to be submitted. We'll have that done Wednesday. Where everything's got to be tagged as an asset. Been out doing log jam, which is after these rains, we go out and anything that's jammed up underneath the bridge that may be putting that bridge in jeopardy, we get that all out. Cut it and let it go downstream until it hits the next bridge. The NOFA call that I submitted for Bridge 141, Decatur County did get awarded that. I met with them on Friday to go over there's an early coordination meeting of all the rules I need to follow and all the tracking I have to do on that.
Which bridge is 141?
It is off of South County Road, 1000 West, 600 South. So it's close to the Bartholomew County line.
Out past Bernie.
Further south than that,
So, yeah.
600 south would be Forest Hill area. West of Forest Hill.
NDOT is getting ready to do a project, a pavement project on State Road 3. That goes from Davies gas station there at Westport all the way to State Road 50. That is going to be a full closure. I think O'Mara got the award on that project. I think they're doing it in 3 phases. As far as any details on that, I've been in contact with Nicole Carter. She's the coordinator on that job. Because I reached out to her because I was getting calls from people that they were putting flyers on their doors down State Road 3, what was going on. So I reached out to them because they hadn't contacted me about an unofficial detour. But since then, Tim and I have talked to them. Our unofficial detour is going to be 700 west, all the way to 1100 south, and that way they can get around the door that they need to stay out of there. I didn't want to have that detour in St. Paul, Westport, and try to have semis going down through there and all that. That'd been a mess. So
We'll have to go west on 1100 then,
I believe so.
get on 700,
Yeah.
at the light, well, they're not. Main Street.
That's kind of what we have contacted them not to do. I think they've been out to film the road for any damage after this. I think it's going to, the closure's going to, I think it's going to be after the eclipse. It was slated for the 1st, and we suggested they wait until after the eclipse.
I think I read or was told that it was gonna be after.
It is.
So that's gonna be a big pathway for.
Yeah, and then it'll be closed until September. So it's going to be havoc on the county. We was going to try to go after and do that bridge down there in Westport, that low ton bridge, but we're going to stay away from that. We'll probably put that out till next year.
What way is the detour? Go out 1100.
Go west, Main Street, Westport to 700, and then turn left and go toward North Vernon on 700. That's Old Base Road for.
Come right across there and keep going.
Mhm.
So a lot of people are gonna go into Westport and hit
Mhm.
and go down that way too.
Yeah.
We can't get,
Well, the biggest problem is they're gonna go until they can't go no more. Then they're gonna go whichever way they want.
Right.
There is an official detour that NDOT has set up, that 90% of the time people don't follow that. So,
That's when the detour that NDOT will pay for repairs.
I was just trying to think about the traffic that'll go through Westport and the amount of road damage they'll get coming through town like that.
and I think, later in the meeting, we'll be opening up the bids. We've been talking about the stone bids. Our suggestion is to accept any and all bids. We ran every stone flooring in town out of Class 1 riprap last year, trying to do this bridge maintenance. So I think we've got quite a few more we gotta do. That's a project we'll be working on pretty much during construction season. That should be all I have. You don't have anything for me?
Bridge 7050, 50, was that 50 north?
Bridge 70.
Yeah, what's on County Road 50 north? What's this, where are we at? I know we talked about that earlier this year. We kept it as a closure to be readdressed with the potential of county highway rebuilding that. Is that right?
And what's the plan? Is there gonna be a permanent closure? Is that why we paid that other roads
Yeah, I was in.
to dead end?
When I took, before I took over, Mark, his thoughts were to close that bridge, keep it permanently closed, pay 150 as a runaround. Okay, so I kind of brought that to you. Right now, we followed all the rules of federal highway and NDOT by doing closure postings and everything. That would not be a bridge I would go after federal aid on.
Right.
That would be something we'd have to put in our, if you guys wanted to rebuild that.
I know the postmaster had asked the same question as to what we were doing with that so they could change their route. I guess the biggest question is, do we have the budget to replace it? And what have the neighbors said about it?
I had one gentleman come in just last week and asked me about, he lives at the very end of that closure off 50 north off 850. And I pretty much had told him that where it was left this last time we talked about. So I didn't know. As far as budgeting, I would probably have to sit down and figure out where we'd be on budgeting that in.
I mean, I think that's one of the big questions is 2022, there was talk about a shortfall on Coon Bridge. We raised Coon Bridge last year to cover that, but there hasn't been any discussion on where we're at and what that looks like over the next 5 to 8 years with this and all the other bridge closures. So
Yeah.
at some point in time, we're going to need a good update on where the money sits and how we're looking with all the projects that's slated for county highway and those kinds of things, so we can decide on some of these projects.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have that notepad with me. That was the one notepad prior to this one. My recollection was that we did have communications with all of the surrounding or the immediately affected neighbors in that area prior to voting. And my recollection is we did vote to close it permanently. Is my recollection of what we were doing on Bridge 70.
And that's why we paid that,
Yeah.
because the other road was gravel, and we paid it.
Yeah.
Use it for the runaround.
And we had this, I know you had gone out and talked to them because that was one of the big things that we had asked you to do, was to go out and actually talk to those people that were in that area.
This guy lives right next to the bridge though.
And I think some of them like it. That way it keeps traffic off the road. It's basically a gravel road, I believe. Everybody's flying down through there, get down that bridge, and that bridge is canked in. I don't know how many semis have tried to jack through there, and it's a mess. So it would have, in my opinion, that if we were going to do something on that, it would definitely have to be a realignment. And that escalates cost in that, so, I don't know that I have any budgetary numbers on that at this point. I could probably get that, and bring it back to you.
I don't remember whether I know we closed it and did a permanent closure, but last I thought we talked about was potentially having the highway garage building themselves, but I don't recall. That's been 4 or 5 months ago, I think.
Not that's nothing together, just so we got an idea what it takes.
Yeah.
What it would take, realign it.
See where the
Not
budget's
that
at.
we're going to, but we got a number to look at.
Yes.
Todd.
Nope, Todd.
Krista.
Good morning. I just have a couple ordinances for you this morning. First one is 2023-16, Bradley Scheidler, requesting to rezone 2.99 acres from an A1 to an A2 to build a single-family dwelling.
This is the one up on 421,
Yes.
right outside Adams, I think.
Your vote on the last page.
I think everyone that was present.
Yeah, this one. 3, 5 present, voted yay.
I'd move to approve.
Second.
Second thing I have for you is 2024-1. This is the old highway garage, rezoning it from A1 to B3.
Unanimous. It's part of the sale agreement.
Yeah, I'd move to approve.
Second.
That's all I have for you today.
Do you know off the top of your head when the next BZA solar meeting is going to be?
As of right now, it's the first Wednesday of June.
Okay, so June 5th.
Can I interject on that, please?
Certainly.
Due to the large crowd we had for the last meeting, I would suggest we move that meeting, maybe like North Decatur or Greensburg High School somewhere.
I'm looking at both of those.
Okay.
We weren't real happy with the audio. A lot of people in the back couldn't hear, and the crowd. We're gonna look at Greensburg, or we're looking at a couple different places, but
Graduation is. Graduation is the first.
yes, we'll try to find a different venue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kenny, sorry I skipped over you. I didn't mean to. You can participate this time.
Good morning, Commissioners. Since our last meeting, I had 41 inspections, 16 new building permits and plan reviews, 3 permit renewals, had 3 red tags. The first one was had non-GFI receptacles in 2 different bathrooms. The builder installed GFIs to correct the code violation. Second was for ground wire not in conduit. The electrician was told and fixed the problem for a green tag on the meter breaks. Third one was on a panel box inspection, had 3 open spaces, missing breakers. Property owner filled the holes with blank covers to pass inspection. Last week I contacted the homeowner on the nuisance abatement, Smith property down on 850 South. Sent her the email containing the pictures and information on how to correct the violations to avoid having the county commissioners remove trash in vehicles. I will stay in contact with them to achieve abatement and close out that complaint account.
No response from them?
Yeah, I talked to her. She said, okay,
Okay.
they were gonna get on it. And I'm gonna, that was like Thursday.
Okay.
So I'm gonna keep checking with her.
I thought I heard you say you emailed them, so,
I did email her.
okay.
Yeah, she was happy to receive all that information. I'm still making phone calls on expired permits to get them renewed or do final inspections. Went from about 80 expired permits in January down to about 46 last week, and done several since then on Friday. I still need to check the ordinance fine schedule to see if it's compatible with the public nuisance and ordinance and the unsafe building ordinance. The property in Letts is getting taken down slowly but surely. The guys and his wife are doing it by themselves, and I'm keeping in touch with that property owner as he goes through that process to get that clean.
I was able to find a fine schedule, but it looked like it was in a completely different section.
The public nuisance ordinance section did not have a fine schedule attached to it. Other sections of the chapter do, including the abandoned vehicle section. But the actual public nuisance section did not have its own separate fine schedule.
We'd have to create one for that.
Yeah.
And I know that has a whole list of problems that come with being able to do that. I'm just trying to find a way not to go straight to the county paying somebody to go clean that up and create maybe a more effective process for helping clean up some of these homes that are half burnt down and falling apart and forgotten about and dangerous. Besides us as a government to go in and bulldoze it and clean it up ourselves.
I just gotta come somewhere.
Yep, and right now there doesn't, there's not a, what, $500 in the area plan wide property program, so. To be continued.
You guys have anything else for me?
I don't.
Commissioner's appointment to BZA from the APC. Lee Scott Smith was appointed to the APC.
Yes.
From representing Extension,
Yes.
and he would be our appointment to the BZA. Is that correct? Need a motion?
Yes, please.
I'd make a motion to appoint Scott Smith to the BZA.
I'll second.
I would concur.
Thank you.
You'll get with Scott and let him know. Sheriff.
Good morning, gentlemen. 3 weeks from today is the eclipse. I'm sure you've heard that's coming.
What?
What is it?
So anyway, we're anticipating a rather large crowd in the fairgrounds area because there's activities planned. What we're requesting today is on April the 8th to shut down County Road 50 South or Park Road, going eastbound and going, excuse me, at Kohler Park. Once the event's over, we want to force everybody out towards the bypass, towards 200 West, out to 46 into bypass. We don't want to force traffic back downtown when they're trying to empty the downtown. So we're just seeking authorization to shut down Park Road at Kohler Park, eastbound traffic only, about 2:30 that afternoon until we empty out the fairgrounds.
So you would still have westbound traffic?
Correct. We don't anticipate much coming westbound, but we can deal with that if we do. Again, the goal is to not flood downtown again with traffic when you're trying to empty out the downtown as well.
I'm good with it.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with it. Chad?
So we've been working on this hosting fee for Best Way. I've talked to the Randolph County attorney who has something similar in place and have a good framework for it yet. It's not quite finished because I wasn't able to confirm I'd gotten through all the statutes and was in compliance with that. So if you guys would push this one more time, I should have a draft for you to look at and move on next time.
So we'll delay this till April. Delay's a new word.
It's very official.
That was part of the agreement when we closed it.
Right, yeah.
County revenue shares, yeah. We finished up that money, will be going to the highway department for road maintenance in the area of landfill.
Just the 200 south, I was on it yesterday. It definitely
Needs help.
needs help, yeah. Sooner than later would be beneficial.
We have an advertised time to open these bids.
All right,
Okay, we'll go through the rest of the agenda here and we'll open it at 9. In case someone's waiting till 9 to come in and listen. Fairgrounds Road, we're new pit access. I'd asked you the other day if you have any idea when that might start. Out there where your culvert pipe is.
Well, right now, ground's kind of saturated. We're still in the process of trying to finalize moving the pipes over to the main yard. And then after that, Tim and I should be able to give you a schedule on that.
And those that don't know, one of the things that, since the commissioners have taken over the fair, one of the biggest issues that I know I've heard from different people at the fair is the way the current pit access is right now. You have all the tractors, trailers, trucks going by the horse arena while they're showing. And so it directs all that traffic right by all the animals, right by all the kids. And so we've talked about putting in a new pit access road at the south end of the pit, or south end of the actual track. So it would be going down the hill, basically where the culvert pipe is up on top of the hill. And the highway department has a need for the dirt. Is that correct, Todd?
Yeah.
For some of the projects that you'll be doing. And so the highway department is going to excavate that portion of the road so that they can get the dirt, so they don't have to get the dirt from someplace else. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And then it's gonna be gravel.
Probably for this fair, I guess. It'll need to settle through winter.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of excavation.
And that's not gonna disturb the big amount of whatever that is there that the culverts and stuff are sitting on.
That all goes away.
Okay.
I mean, they're gonna start descending at the new road, or the new asphalt descending in that road, so it'll be a pretty good cut.
But it's gonna be, when there's something there.
Yeah, but it'll be south, at the south edge of our property. This road is, so it should be behind all that stuff, to the south of it. While we're back at the county highway, we have an unofficial number that hasn't come through the engineer yet on the highway department project. This should be official sometime tomorrow. We have $10,648,665.10. The budget for that project was $11,500,000, so it came in at $851,339.90 under budget. TIF paid $9 million. Have we paid the $600,000 that came from the sale or to
That was
GM?
not part of that last.
Okay. So that leaves an unpaid balance of $1,048,665.10. And as soon as all this paperwork clears, Greg Marks will let me know what kind of a payment.
What was that number? One more time?
The Unpaid?
Yeah.
$1,048,665.10.
Do we have lease terms or bond terms or anything like that yet?
No, as soon as he gets all this from the engineer, then he'll draw something up for us. He's willing to pay it. I mean, schedule it out 5 years if need be.
With an interest rate or anything like that to compare to any potential other options or?
I haven't seen his offer yet. He was waiting on his numbers. And the engineers have to stamp off on it, so to make sure all the bills are paid. But nothing is left out there nobody knows about.
And do we know what our thoughts are on fund source with the other projects that we're planning for the future with potential ready to go?
I would say
Annex and then this.
coon cap or some edit monies.
Pardon?
Coon cap or possible over 5 year period.
You'll have to change your edit plan.
Right. But there wouldn't be any money due till next year, involved next year's plans.
Or
25.
you can change the plan at any time.
That's my thoughts.
Once we see the numbers, we can decide how we want to handle that.
I was just trying to think of all the projects that
Well, I
are
mean,
going to be coming out of
The
our
big issues
budget.
that I have, we have to take all of this out of edit, that's what we're planning on hitting the annex project with. So
Annex.
it depends on how much.
Yeah,
how much
annex
we're
will come out
looking
of coon cap.
at. I thought we,
And we bumped the coon cap up to cover $300,000 debt service for annex.
Yeah,
I thought we were talking at the last meeting, what was that, the 6th, that the annex project was edit money.
coon cap.
It's coon cap.
Okay.
And we changed the tax rate on coon cap last year.
There's 300,000 specifically in there for the annex.
I mean, if we financed it,
Well, I knew the 300, but I thought that was edit.
that was a coon cap.
And then the ready to go fairgrounds type stuff. That'll have to come out of
That,
edit.
I hope to fundraise that. We're gonna try to kick off a fundraise campaign here shortly. Got some volunteers that are gonna give an official agreement sometime this week to start that, but we hope to be able to raise $1 to $2 million in a fundraising campaign.
As we kind of talk about the fairgrounds, I reached out to HWC to see what it would potentially cost to find out if there is a way to to prevent or lessen the amount of flooding that happens in the area for the animal shelter and the horse arena. Moving everything away still keeps that area flooded and reduces the amount of stuff that we can ever put there. I haven't got an estimate cost to what it would do to engineer or study that area, or if we can even make a difference, but wanted to try to explore that option of, instead of moving everything away from that and leaving it as parking or whatever, seeing if that could be fixed. And seeing if that's an option. I was having a conversation with somebody last week and asked, what's the current thoughts on projects at the fairgrounds, the annex, the pool, and the highway garage balance that we needed to fund, if they really thought there was any more projects that we could do in the next 5 years. And I don't believe that that's true. I don't think there's a lot more that we can do. So through that conversation, we came with the idea to offer a 5-year lease back to Parks and Rec for Kohler Park. So the Special Olympics and the softball people can have a 5-year lease to continue and put money into that area. I don't think money-wise we could do something with that if we wanted to in the next 5 years. And that would bring stability to the parks program, the softball program, and Special Olympics for at least the 5 years. We'll come up with a plan for the entire area.
The current ready, we were looking at the community center and bleachers, and there was discussion about the horses, correct? So all of that is included at this point.
I don't remember what part of the Ready to Go project included the horses, so.
Well, that's why I was asking, because I remember specifically the community center and the bleachers. I remember those specifically.
Right, when we had our Ready to Go meeting at the fairground, we
Right.
talked about those two.
I didn't.
The horse project.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's the only discussion that we need to have is the total use of it. I mean, I was very impressed with the presentation at last meeting about the use of Kohler Park for all of the different activities that go on out there. I just want to make sure that we're doing what's best as well for, you know, folks that use the horse arena, use the horse farm throughout the year and at the fair.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that we don't need to do something with the horse arena or the barn. I just don't know if it fits into a 5-year plan of doing that. And if we can put a 5-year hiatus or discussion plan to do something bigger in 5, we can go ahead and spend money on fixing the roof and getting the holes fixed, maybe putting tiles through the horse arena.
I know.
The flooding there is.
I know the overwhelming opinion that I have received from different horse exhibitors out there is that they do not want to be up at Kohler Park.
I've heard the same.
And so my intention would be, I mean, we already have great use at Kohler Park for everybody playing softball out there, but also for the number of people that I've heard that show horses that don't want to be out there for a different number of reasons. So it seems like a bad decision to get the horses out there.
Same conversations I've had. They do want some improvements, some want a lot of improvements, some want a little improvement. But with a 5-year setback, the parks have 5-year lease on that, and we can discuss, once we get through the 2 big projects, tearing down the old building that's basically unusable and getting the new ones up, and what we're going to do with that. I mean, I think it's going to take the funds out for at least 5 years before we can do anything big. And where would we put Kohler Park, and where would we move those, or what would we do? I mean, it's a big project to talk about. I think with everything else on the table, a 5-year lease and develop that towards the end of that to have a plan is something worth talking about.
I agree. It'd be hard to relocate them.
So I think we start the conversation. We table it till the next commissioners meeting. So if the public wants to have input or have a conversation with it, they're able to come back. The next meeting will be evening meeting, which will give them availability to come and discuss and give us their thoughts on it, and then make a potential decision then. You're sitting here, any thoughts? You don't have to wait since you.
No, I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing, so, I mean, they're gonna be excited about having at least a plan in place to give them some security in what they wanna do to help us renovate, make some upgrades up there. I think they will appreciate that.
You keep the beer off the infield?
That is the only thing I've heard is the adult beverages. And I know that's difficult because it's.
Technically, it's not allowed up there. I know it's up there, but it's not supposed to be in the dugouts or on the field, so I can certainly address that. I can't be up there every night to keep it out of the parking lot or wherever, but I will address that, yes.
Okay.
And I can't really address it on nights that the leagues are not up there, you know.
Yeah, you
like-
can. It's county property.
Well, I can address it, but I'm just saying I won't have my league representatives up. I just meant there won't be anyone necessarily policing it.
There can be some signs put up.
Yeah, we have signs already ordered. We're working on that.
Is it an ordinance violation?
We don't allow alcohol in any of our parks, so to speak.
What's the enforcement action? What's the violation if you
If
violate?
it's an ordinance like that, I'm unaware of. I don't
Is it
know.
something the sheriff's department can ticket and show up for? Is it, what's the violation?
Ask them to leave.
Not following the rules?
I mean, if we see it, we would ask them, we would tell them, you know, that it's not permitted and they have to get rid of it, or, you know, like you said, you could ask them to leave if they don't comply, but there again, we're not in the parks all the time, and so I don't know. I can't guarantee it 100% of the time. If people just happen to gather up there, get together and hit some softballs or whatever, and if somebody has it, if my league's not operating on those particular nights, I don't have anybody in place that can monitor it all the time, so.
Seems easy enough to fix.
But we certainly can post new signs, we can make the teams and the participants aware of the situation and how important it is that they comply with our rules if they want to continue to play up there.
Perfect. So wait till the next meeting, move forward from there after some public input or comment.
Yeah.
Jim, it's your turn.
Go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you for letting me talk. My name is Jim Moore. I farm on 300 North. I live on 300 North and close to the whole solar project, and that's why I'm here to talk to you about that. I'm not going to talk to you about the toxic material that's in solar panels, but I'm not going to talk about the loss of ag-related jobs in connection with 8,000 acres of land, or remind you the year of the pick on how ag retailers suffered from lost revenue, and John Deere actually converted their harvester plant into making RVs during that time. Or I'm not going to talk to you about damaged drainage tiles and no county board to help address it, or standing water with the threat of West Nile outbreak. I'm not going to talk to you about the level of noise that from the converters used on solar during peak operation, or the loss of food production for 15, 20, or 30 years. So I'm not going to talk to you about the loss of grain to trade on the world market, as the U.S. being the largest exporter of corn in the world. I'm not going to tell you about the lost 20 million acres, excuse me, in the last 5 years in agriculture, or explain the economic hardship being put on young farmers trying to get started, with only 9% of our farmers at the age of 35, and ask who's going to do this in the future. I am going to talk to you about property rights, and I strongly support. I quote Mr. Whitaker at the last BZA meeting: if you infringe on property rights, what do we have left? If I purchase property next to Mr. Whitaker's steakhouse to open a meat processing operation and sell fresh cuts and storefront and providing the steakhouse with fresh meat, and I wouldn't even consider this, but would we be talking about infringing on the same property rights? That seems to be what's happening in the county, taking agriculture and using it for commercial industrials and sugarcoating it with words like farm in the sun. There are approximately 40 homes around the 17-acre project north of the city that stand to lose $150,000 to $200,000 in property value. These property owners grew up there, or invested and moved there for the serenity of the country and to be away from the industrial village. They could easily complain about a tractor or the dust or the smell, and be quickly reminded that this is the country, you don't like it, move. The same property owners have basic drainage that's connected to adjacent field tiles. When these tiles are plugged by thousands of poles, driven 8 feet deep, and the water floods the basement, damage your foundation, whose property rights are we infringing on? Would you purchase a home next to a solar or wind park when you could get the same exact home for the exact same price a couple miles away? What about Mr. Rule's $1 million investment? What about Ronnie Coon's home flooded out? Damaged property and lost value, whose rights are we infringing on? Personally, the proposed site, the south side, on our south side and our north side of our productive farm ground, our water drains through Kramer's on the south side, and Kramer has water draining on our tile on the north side, east side. Thousands of poles driven deep are going to disrupt, damage this drainage, causing loss of revenue. Ponds turn into lakes,
lakes turn into streams, streams turn into erosion, and erosion turns into lost topsoil. And lost topsoil into lost production, which is lost revenue. I'm sorry, I'm not a public speaker. So whose rights are we infringing on? I'm going off the beat here, but there's common ground, so please bear with me. COVID was a money grab. It was real and it was dangerous, but it was a money grab. The result of those actions are now on the surface. Fourth graders can't read. We create laws that keep them in third until they can. Side effects of vaccines are now surfacing more and more every day. Contact tracing was used to keep kids out of school that might have, or could be carrying a deadly virus, allowing those with a vaccine card to remain in school same time so that you can still get admitting at the same time that you can still transmit the virus even being vaccinated. Completely ignoring herd immunity or antibodies that are put there by our God. I was told by our family doctor that we don't know enough about antibodies or how long they last, and he advised to take the vaccine. My daughter and I were tested for antibodies and both positives, but the rules say no vaccine card, you must stay home. Was it really about health or selling the vaccine for Pfizer? Of course, the administrator got paid each time they gave one out. The hospital, nursing home, school, the county goes on and receives large amounts of money. If we don't follow the rules, we lose funding is the exact answer I got from commissioners, school board, superintendent, board of health. Not once did anyone say it was about health. Here's where I believe is the common ground. Massachusetts destroyed 140,000 acres of forest to install solar panels, stating the reduction of carbon by using solar was far greater than trees could absorb. And we're looking at 8,000 acres of food production, again ignoring what God created to give us oxygen and absorb carbon. Much like the antibodies to fight illness, the man-made stuff is much better than what God gave us. As a solar panel owner, I can tell you firsthand that it's either feast or famine. It's either producing way more than I need, or it's not doing diddly squat. It takes the heat of the sun to work, and it doesn't do anything when it's cloudy. It takes an 8-mile-an-hour wind to run a turbine when the wind dies down at night with the cooling of the atmosphere. God's creation. The plant in Lawrenceburg runs 24/7 and put a maximum amount out and cut it down to nothing on demand. What's going to happen to the cost of electric when you cut the sales in half from Lawrenceburg plant? Don't you believe they'll need more money for the dark hours of operation, driving up the cost of electric? It seems that sorry, I missed the page. It seems that RWE writes contracts so they can get out of the landowner can't. They recently dropped to 1,700 to 900, leaving some out of the game. I've heard RWE repeat saying that when the useful life of the system is over, they will pull up stakes and leave it back to agriculture. The plant in Lawrenceburg uses gas to create steam and steam to turn the turbines. Canada is working on a geo to create the steam to turn the turbines. Rolls-Royce is working on a nuclear generator, no larger than a semi-trailer, that recycles its own waste and uses no water. Cummins is working on hydrogen-powered engines, not electric. Elon Musk says the solar panel will be half the size it is today and produce twice the juice. Well, the useful life of a horse came at the end with the invention of a tractor. Will the useful life of the solar project come to an end when technology passes it, or at the end of the contract? Will RWE simply walk away and say, we both agree to bonds being in place to clean up the cost, or for the cleanup cost, so we're out of here. When all this crashes, there'll be millions of acres across the U.S. trying to get rid of toxic material. And do you want our county to be in that mess? And I'll just point out that you guys were talking about old buildings or half burned out houses that you can't find funds to clean up. You know, you're gonna be cleaning this up. These same kids struggling because of COVID policies are going to be the ones who clean it up. You should wonder, are they wanting to create a food shortage or to promote lab grown chicken already being served in California? Could it be their goal to knock the U.S. out of the world trade market, crippling our economy with the loss of agricultural production? Are foreign companies trying to grab all your tax dollars as fast as they can before the boom is over, making everyone feel they're doing the right thing to save the planet when we're destroying it? Does cutting down 140,000 acres of forest make sense? Does taking millions of acres across our nation, the food supply, and the world trade make sense? When solar and wind is so unpredictable and uncontrollable, how could it possibly be the right thing to do? It seems there's another agenda at play. That's how a dictator takes over a nation, not with guns, tanks, laws, or mandates. They do it with false promises and gifts. These companies are making generous gifts to the YMCA, library, county schools, and the list goes on. Then when asked a specific question, they lie or answer it with a we could, or maybe, or possibly, or that's not our intention. Seem to be the answer given quite often at the BZA meeting. When RWE makes a threat, their approval is not needed, but appreciated, going on to say we will take it to the state and let the judge decide. It seems to me that someone made a deal with the devil and have 20 souls to take, like it or not. So I ask you as commissioners to forget about losing funding as we did during COVID, and not to sit on your thumbs and wait, but to see how you can stop the BZA or help BZA stop this madness. I have several neighbors that jumped in at the sound of money, not really thinking it through. I also blame the county for leaving the door open on this issue. I feel the relationship between landowners could be negatively affected either way this ends. I certainly don't want any rain on the scarecrow or blood on the plow. These are good neighbors that have lived as good neighbors for a long time. When we see smoke, we all go to hell. I think the message is clear. Gene License survey stated over 70% of the Farm Bureau and the Farm Bureau survey stating over 80% of those do not support solar or wind on agriculture ground. And we have over 900 signed petitions that really makes a statement. So I leave with this: please consider all angles of property infringement when you talk about property rights. One should not be able to cause damage or loss of value or loss of revenue by their actions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wake up.
What's the advertised time for the lawn care? Maybe be Friday, so that we could start.
Give Tony something to talk about for 6 minutes.
He's gone. We advertise for lawn care bids for the county properties. First one I have insurance certificate is here. It's from Double D Lawn Service. Courthouse bid each mowing is $140. Spring fertilization is $230. Spring weed program, $230. Crabgrass control, $250. Fall fertilization, $200. Spring and fall landscape bed maintenance, $400. Shrub and mulch program for the entire year is $2,500. Lawn care at the county highway garage, $355. Lawn care at the annex property, $160. And that's Double D Lawn Service.
How much grass is out of the highway garage compared to the annex?
A lot. They got to mow that big old mound in front and on the outside fence and where the retention pond. I guess it's also the retention pond on the southwest corner.
I was just thinking everything inside the fence is concrete, asphalt.
No, there's quite a bit of grass on the inside too.
What's the average about once a week it's getting mowed?
Next one is from Sycamore Advisory Group. Courthouse is $125 each mowing. Spring fertilization, $250. Weed control, $250. Crabgrass control, $275. Fall and weed program, $250. Spring and fall landscape bed maintenance, $300. Trim all shrubs and mulch program, $2,180. Highway department, $300. Annex, $160. And they do have their insurance certificate. And the third and final bid, there is no insurance certificate. So it's an incomplete bid. I'll read it. So you get an idea where we're at there? It's about grass mowing season.
It definitely is. Looks like the weekly payment to Sycamore would be less. I think adding them up, trying to do the math, Sycamore's overall will be less because of the differences in the weekly services.
Yeah, they were cheaper weekly. Some of their other maintenance stuff was more expensive than Double D.
Do we know history with that? I've never.
Our address is 814 West 8th Street. Oh, Steve Princemeyer. They bid last time.
So it does appear to be the lowest bid. think overall.
Want to study it, or you want to make a motion?
I take a look at
Excuse me, is this for 2 years or 1 year?
2.
That doesn't include tree trimming, correct? Just shrubs.
Just shrubs, yeah. You just had the trees all done. That's fall, they fall. So that'll be good for a couple, 3 years.
While Jeremy's studying, have we heard anything more on the big planter on the south side? Bricks are falling off on.
He said when the weather got fit, he was gonna do it. That Steve Hall is who built them.
Okay.
He does all the masonry work for the county on bridges.
I'm just thinking about festival season and all the going and it's starting to fall apart. I don't know whether there's
I made him aware of it.
weed pulls or whatever we can get in. Seems like a freeze thaw pushed it out.
Somebody's hit it. I think during the fall festival 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
So Sycamore beats Double D on everything except the crabgrass control, the fall fertilizer, and the spring fertilizer. Everything else, as far as all of the weekly costs and the shrub and mulch, Sycamore is the low bidder there by a sizable margin when you're looking at weekly payments. I'd make the motion to go ahead and accept Sycamore in their bid.
I'll second.
I would concur. Patty, you'll contact him.
Thank you, Chris.
This is stone, fuel, and pipe, Rush County stone, New Point stone, Premier League. British Petroleum, so we'll do stone first.
Todd, your suggestion earlier was to accept all because you pretty much bought everybody out last year.
Yeah, any and all bids.
And if we don't accept them all, then you're just stuck to the ones that we've accepted, correct?
Well, location,
Unless they run out, then we go to another facility and see if they'll honor that.
I know location's difficult too, because trucking it halfway across the county someplace ends up costing those.
Well, I know we ran everything in town out of Class 1, so we end up going to US Aggregates over in Columbus to get the rest of it.
so this is Rush County's, which is located in Milroy, outside of Milroy, east, west of Milroy. Form 96 is here, non-collusion affidavit is here. And bid bonds also here. So at their location, number white, number 1 limestone, white's $12.50 a ton. Number 2 limestone's $12.50 a ton. Number 4 limestone's $14.50. 8 limestone is $14.75. 9s are $14.75. Number 11 is $17.25. B borrowed is $14.75. 53s are $12.25. 73s are $12.50. Class 1 riprap's $20.50. Class 2 riprap's $20.50. And revetment riprap is $20.50. That's Rush County stuff. New Point stuff. Bid bond. Form 96. across every location.
Different prices each location too, isn't it?
Yes. First from the New Point Quarry, 53s are 1165, 73s and 2s are 1335, 4, 5s, 8s, and 9s are 1550. 11s and 12s are $17. Riprap, 6-inch, 1615. Graded revetment, 1615. Class 1, 6 to 24 inches, $23. Class 2, 12 to 30 inch is $26.25. Brown road base is $11.65. Concrete sand is $21, and ice control sand is $18.50. That's out of their New Point location. But if you're going to accept all of them, we'll just price them accordingly out of each plant. They price New Point, Napoleon, Air City, and St. Paul Quarry. They also have a price furnished and applied, grouped in township locations. So we would need to vote these as bid, your choice where it comes from. Correct?
I'm sorry?
We would need to vote and approve these 2 bids as presented. You would choose as to where you got it, by location.
Yeah.
I'd go ahead and make a motion and to accept and approve both bids for stone from Rush County and also from New Point.
I'll second that.
And I would concur. Next fuel bid. From Heritage Petroleum. Tank wagon delivery. 87 octane unleaded. $2.2855 gallon. Premium diesel, dyed fuels, 2.6878. Number 1, low sulfur diesel, 3.4815. Number 2, low sulfur diesel, 2.6678. Number 2, low sulfur diesel fuel dyed is 2.6728. It gives a price for a metered automated pump meter delivery ticket. I'm not sure you're with Premier what they mean by this, but it's 87 octane, $3.1370. Premium diesel fuel dyed at 3.3128. Number 1, low sulfur diesel is 4.6865. Number 2, low sulfur diesel is 3.8728. Number 2, low sulfur diesel fuel dyed at 3.2978. And that's Heritage Petroleum. Non-inclusions here, insurance, bond. You know where Heritage is from?
I don't know. There was about 4 of them that contacted me. There was one out of Evansville, one out of, but my question to them when they called about the bid was how was it going to be able to be the local. They had their comment was they had a lot of different locations, but I can't remember exactly where they were from, Mark.
Second one and final one is Premier Ag. 87 octane unleaded, $3.0065. Premium diesel fuel dyed, 3.0645. No price for number one, low sulfur. Number two, low sulfur, 3.6415. This has taxes added to it.
So. Go ahead.
And an automated pump, I'm assuming that's on Main Street. 87 octane unleaded, 3.065. And then down to number two, low sulfur diesel, 3.605.
See, this has got stars on it too. It says March end state taxes are a bid amount. Any tank exemptions we need to provide it in award. So which ones out of all the ones that are bid, we've 87 octane for sure, right?
Yeah.
What was your 87 octane one?
Well, it says price per gallon, bid discount, exempted taxes. Then the price is higher at the end. Am I reading this correct?
So the top one is the tank wagon, so that would be delivered to the tanks. The bottom one is the
So
station.
which column? See this far right column,
Yeah.
it says net price per gallon,
That would be your final with all the taxes in.
but we don't pay taxes.
Yes.
We're tax exempt county.
Certain taxes.
Okay.
This one's got taxes in it too, so it should be a straight comparison. It's got the star here, so March Indiana state taxes are in bid amount, so this bid should be taxed also.
So I'm assuming this column.
So it's Heritage is 2.8255 and Premier is 3.0065.
Yeah.
And that's at the highway department.
That's delivered, yeah.
And what else would we have out there?
Premium diesel dyed, that's road fuel. Their price of Heritage is 2.8778. Premier Ags is 3.0645. And then the other's number, which is off road. So that's road fuel. That's road fuel, so I guess. Their number is number two.
Is that the number two low sulfur?
Yeah, 3.4378. Premier's is 3.6415.
Okay. And that's the stuff that would be at
The highway department at the fuel station.
And that's the primary location for all county.
It will be, yes.
So backup follow-up will be the automated pumps.
Yeah, and this is at West Main.
That, the automated pump 87 is 2.9130.
I don't know where they would have a pump station, Heritage. Local filling station location. This would be Premier Ag.
Yeah, so 2.9130, depending on where the automated pump would be.
That's 3.65. 2 sulfur. It's 3.605 here.
3.8178. So
Cheap diesel. Get our own gas.
that's the only question I have is, what's an automated pump location for them? Is that something that's available in Decatur County?
I would suggest we let Chad look through these, because it's a substantial amount of money. You figure out where their locations are, and we'll award it next.
Revisit the next meeting.
All right?
Yeah.
Patty, elevators and stair lifts.
Okay, as far as the elevator, right now, it looks like it might be June before they're able to do the modernization. The parts for that come in very slowly, they just kind of trickle in, so they're supposed to update me as that gets closer. In the meantime, the existing company, which is Otis, has billed us for the service contract. They billed for the whole year, and I went back to them and asked if we could bill for 6 months, since that's the projected time, because of the cost of that annually is $81.33.12. I didn't hear anything for a while, but then I did get a letter back recently stating that we understood we were going with another company. They would give us 18 months service, which went the wrong direction. So I'm questioning that, and again, we'd like to either go month to month on the maintenance until we get the new elevator in, but certainly don't want to extend it 18 months. So got to call them to Otis about
Are we
that.
committed to them currently for any length of time?
Yes, but I have told them we are terminating that,
And that's a 30-day notice?
just 30 days.
I would just give them the 30-day notice and they're out, and we go with Midwest.
But we haven't.
Midwest can service what we have, correct? And they're substantially higher. Otis is.
Otis is, yes. Oh, yeah, we'll save a lot of money on the, on Mid-America's maintenance. I
So
have their
I would
maintenance
just,
contract
I mean, if the
also.
contract termination calls for 30-day notice, I'd just terminate them and go with Midwest if they're offering, they're gonna be the ones that's installing the new one.
They are.
And that's who we'll wanna work with in the future. You think?
Okay.
Agreed.
And then on the stair lifts are operational as of last week, March 13th. So, and they were inspected by Homeland Security and are ready to go. So, here, I mean, they could be used now if someone wants to use them. We can certainly have a backup benefit.
Let's talk about adding some handicap parking on the north side for when Franklin Street, and just keep them there after the future. That contacted the striping guy to do that, but the problem is we're gonna have to move the law enforcement spots. Handicap by code has to be the closest to the ramps. So it's gonna take a little bit of sign moving, but as soon as the weather's fit, you have to have overnight pavement temperatures of 55 degrees and above the stripe. So as soon as temperatures reach that, he's gonna get busy. Add 2, you think 2's enough?
Yeah, I mean, it's at least better than when we were at.
I agree.
That'll be underway when the weather gets a little nicer. Anything else?
I don't have anything. I'd move to recess.
Nothing for me. A second.
Don, have anything?
Just want to thank everybody who was able to attend the legislative update. Huge thank you to Senator Leising, Representatives Meltzer and Zimmerman were able to attend. That is an annual event that I would highly encourage anybody locally within the county to come and be a part of, especially as we're looking through the legislative process and what that can do for our communities. So thank you for those who were able to attend. Upcoming, we have a Women in Business Conference on Thursday, June the 27th. That is our next slated large event for the chamber. So thank you.
Dawn reminded me too, the legislative update involved a redistricting requirement out of the commissioners by June of 25, I think. It has to be voted on, so at some point in time we can start discussing what that looks like. So it's prepared. I believe Representative Meltzer advised that if it wasn't done by June 25, council and commissioners all stop getting paid until it's done. So at some point in time, start figuring out what that conversation looks like so it can be ready early 25.
Chad, were you our attorney when that came up last time?
I was.
Is it written differently this time? Because last time it was based, we determined that commissioner districts were based on road miles.
The last time this came up right after the census, what was determined is, unless they've changed things, I'll have to update my research. Last time around, commissioners' districts are don't have to be drawn equally by populace like councils because they are run at a countywide level. The difference being that you must come from your district, but everybody gets to vote. So the redistricting numbers didn't have to be as exact. I believe we determined one of the basis for our county was the districts were fairly equal in road miles, not necessarily by populace, but with unimportant commissioners. And I believe our council numbers the last time were within the tolerance levels that were allowed. So the last time around, we did not redraw anything. We weren't required to. We passed the full-on ordinance that we had to pass stating we weren't redrawing the lines. So that was shortly after the census numbers came out. So probably early 22 when we did that. I think that's the last time we took that up, but now it's been a change.
I thought the law, the way I read that, was that if something was not done after the last census, then it has to be addressed by, in between January 1 of 25 and June of 25. So the quick reading I did, that was.
So I can definitively state we have taken action on commissioner districting since the last census was done.
And it was based on road miles, not populace.
Right.
Because everyone gets to vote for commissioner.
Right.
In the council, only people in the district. That's why the populace status.
The populace just makes a difference on who's qualified. So with low populace, you have less candidates who would run.
And I mean, I ran that graph top to bottom. We are in compliance on commissioner districts. Janet, do you remember, did we address council districts in that same ordinance?
I did not remember the council being addressed.
That's what I could not remember.
And I don't know
if that
if
was
the
something
law,
that fell to us or not. So
I don't know if the law is about council. We talked about it at the meeting.
We have taken action since the last census.
I sent you, Chad.
Okay, with the law you guys are referring to.
Yeah, Tony had sent it.
All right, I will compare that with tracking down what we did a couple years ago and get back.
Now you can.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Interrupted?
I want to thank everybody for letting me come in here and talk about solar and property rights. I want to apologize for being so jittery, but I just figured out why I was. That's because I had a county Mountie behind me. If he would have moved, that may help.
You left the gun in the holster.
Just the mere presence.
Yeah, but I could hear him rattle them handcuffs.
Any bids come in for the pipe?
Yeah. Was it roll over or spoke to?
Civilcon rode over last year When I seen him at that conference I was at, he said he's gonna be here Monday, because I asked him about rolling over. So,
There's no other bidders, that's your only option.
yeah,
You think so? I already seconded Jeremy's motion.
We are recessed, thank you all for coming.